Hi guys, Ben here from 100 Just about to go for a run, but before I do, I thought I'd squeeze in a quick podcast in which I'm going to be talking about letting go of the past. This is a common thing within my coaching practice and something that pretty much comes up on a daily basis within my Skype sessions. We are, by default, a byproduct of our past life, i.e. what happened yesterday, the day before, going back to adolescence and childhood. There's no getting away from that. What we've learned, how we see the world is through our eyes, is based on what we've experienced. The blueprint of our very existence. But we can either utilize that past, our past, your past, the past that's been given to us by others or another's representation of the world. We can either utilize that in a positive context, or we can dwell, become the victim, live within it, and not utilize it. We can submerge ourselves below the waterline, struggling, fighting for air, living in that area. Or we can raise our head above the water, accept the past, learn from the past, and make some really conscious choices about how we want to use it to benefit ourselves in the future. Now, during an exercise with a client, a Skype session with a client the other day, we were talking about an aspect of their past and choice. And choice becomes a massive factor, even within our internal communication, with the language that we use, with the directions that we take. And it can be easily applied to sport within our training. I was just running the other day, cross country, and I try or make the conscious effort, where possible, not to follow the same route at the same time. And what it's allowed me to do is discover new areas of my own community, new areas of the countryside, explore different avenues, explore different routes. And when I reach a gate or a deviation in the road, I make the choice. Do I go left or do I go right? Now, it actually does depend on the type of training that I've got that day. If I can see in the distance there's a hill, there's resistance, and that's not part of my training, that's not the choice, that's not the route that I want to follow, then I'll take the easier route. However, if there's an aspect and there's a benefit of me taking that harder path, then I'll make the choice to head towards the hills. But whatever choice I make at that gate, at that crossroads, it needs to be made in the present. It needs to be made for positive purposes and positive reflection. And if I make the wrong choice and I go to an area that I experience a lot of resistance, I can't hold on to that choice that I made before. It's not going to benefit me in any way whatsoever. I have to make another choice. Do I continue? Do I turn around? Or do I find another path? And the same can be applied to life. All the choices that we make may not be the right choice. But holding on to that choice is certainly never, or holding on to those negative choices will certainly never bring about any form of positive change. And it's easy to live within that remit of another's impression about how you should live your life, what you're able to achieve. I remember when I was at school, I made the choice at school not to apply myself. I had the academic ability, but I made the choice as a child, a young adult, not to utilize the advice of others, and I forged my own way. You could say it was a positive choice at the time, but I remember a teacher commenting and making the comment that I would never write anything or create anything that would be worth reading. Now, as it happens, I produced a book a couple of years ago that just happened to be the UK's #1 best-selling non-fiction book. And the feedback on that book has been well received. Had I chosen not to put pen to paper throughout my whole life, then I may not have been able to help and assist those people. And I reflected on it a long, long time ago, many years ago now, and I realised that that was the limiting belief of that teacher. It wasn't intentional. The behaviour that she was demonstrating may have been as a result of her own restrictions, her own beliefs, and who knows, she could have had a best-selling book within her. But somebody taught her along the way that that achievement, that goal, was outside of her abilities. Be aware of what you accept from others as well. It's very easy to accept an opinion, a belief structure of another, and believe it yourself. And there's many sayings going back many, many years. Socrates, all of the great lecturers of their time saying that you only are as good as you think you are. Well, that's very true. In your mind, you have to believe you're more in order to achieve that more. You're always working to the limitations of your own belief structure. The second you start to break down those barriers, those walls, the beliefs placed on you by yourself and others, you start to see the world in a completely different light. You start to achieve the goals, the aspirations that once seemed unachievable. Those goals that were only able to achieve by super elites, by the most successful, by the most educated. And of course, I could have used that advice, that comment from that teacher as a negative tool, or as a negative to drive my passion, to drive my enthusiasm, to prove them wrong. And of course, negative learnings can be used in a positive sense. But the conscious choice has to be made. And once you get into that way of thinking, your body habitually will start to make those choices, utilize learnings, no longer seeing things as a positive and negative, but seeing all things as learning experiences. See, what we believe internally about ourselves will be projected outside. If you believe that your limitations are working for somebody else, for example, or not making a national team, being just good enough at county level within a sport, unable to reach the Premier League, unable to travel internationally, then who knows, you might work to those boundaries and those limitations. You may not utilize the brain's fantastic ability to seek out those opportunities. Some people say I've been lucky in my career choice, in my path in life. But the more I focus on the positive, the more I seem to meet positive people, inspiring people, and people that can help me on my journey. And as a result, I help them back. And I said this in my last podcast, but I think it's really important. Why would you not be the best, healthiest, happiest person that you could be, achieving all of the dreams and aspirations that you want in life? I think too many people subscribe to that way of living, that they're limited by their financial circumstances or by their birth rights, by the limitations of their environments, their surroundings. They can be limitations if you choose to look at them that way, or they can be the motivation to move on, develop, evolve, and escalate that belief structure and allow yourself to become that person that you want. I'm just going to close this off now because I'm going for a run, but just leaving you with the thought that seeing, visualizing internally is believing, but believing is also in seeing. That's it for me for now. Remember to subscribe below, Let me know how these episodes are helping you, what you'd like to see more of. Thanks again. Peace out. Bye for now.